was halfway through this show, I started to think to myself, do I regret that? Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies, and we are back this week with another TV review. Please give our channel a lovely little subscribe to stay tuned with all the content we release each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. Beware of the machines. Kelly Smith, and I'm here joined by my esteemed colleague.
Phil Spicy Cohen. Forgot my last name. Phil Spicy Cohen.
Oh yeah, Dune is a very spicy place, and Dune Prophecy is even spicier. We are here today to review the first episode of the HBO original Dune Prophecy. So let's get straight into it. Obviously, this is the first big spin-off show that we've had in the pipeline that we are now getting after the success of Dune 1, Part 1, excuse me, and then Dune Part 2. So here we are, Dune Prophecy. This was highly anticipated, how this was going to explore the history of the Bene Gesserit, and we are now here. Episode 1 is here. The question is, what did you think?
What did I think? That's a good question. I'm still thinking, actually. I watched this a couple of days ago, yesterday. It's like a couple of days ago. But I'm not too sure what to make of it yet. And granted, like every show needs like a little bit until they get going. But yeah, so far I'm like tentatively sitting back and wanting more for now.
Well, as for myself, I would say the word that I'm going to lead with is that I'm intrigued. This absolutely gave me more than enough to keep my interest level and to make me intrigued as to what comes later on down the line and the story that we're about to get. I think from a presentation perspective, this looks very expensive, and I'm glad it does, because I think that Dune is a property and a world that you can't afford to cheap out on, especially in 2024. It has to look the part, and it looks the part. And I'm really happy to be back in this world again. I absolutely adore the first two movies. Well, when I say the first two movies, at least the Denis Villeneuve two movies, absolutely adore them. And so I was really excited for this show. My only critique, and I say critique, this was something that I was thinking about as I was around halfway into the show. You know, when Dune Part 2 ended, for me, I was so intrigued about knowing more about the Bene Gesserit, to know more about where they came from, how they came about, how their power system is, like the roots of their power system and their skills and how it really develops. And then when I was halfway through this show, I started to think to myself, do I regret that? And the reason why I say that is because sometimes, right, the mystery is, it's good staying a mystery. Sometimes it's good where, you see Darth Vader, but you don't necessarily know who's behind the mask. In a way, sometimes, that is good. However, as I got into the second half of the episode, they hooked me again, and I said, actually, you know what? This has potential. I just hope that this isn't just a show about the Bene Gesserit plotting their ways and continuously showing us about how they're going to control the Imperium and this world. I want to see more than that. I want to delve more into what the Bene Gesserit mean, what they stand for, what this is truly about, and if there's any secrets along the way,
I do think we get what they're about, or what Valya, I have to keep looking up these names, what Valya is about. The idea is that she wants to create, I guess, a perfect ruler and like keep control of like the empire. That's why she's putting all these sisters with the great houses.
Which we did learn in Dune as well, in the movie.
Yes, yeah. But now I think we're getting a little bit more into like the specifics of that and how it works from the other side. Because like in Dune, we got to see mainly from the view of the great houses, and the Bene Gesserit were always like these strange, enigmatic, I suppose, women in the background. But here we're like getting it from their perspective, and I think that's, as you said, it's very intriguing. And there's a lot of potential here, I think, to kind of explore how they turn from this like sisterhood into the Bene Gesserit, and what their plans are. because I really enjoyed the scheming, like the idea that we get the scene when the Emperor discusses with the Duke Chaser about the upcoming marriage, and while they're doing that and haggling over the price, basically, you see the two sisters. Let's call them the sisterhood sisters because they're not the Bene Gesserit exactly, doing their little baseball hand movements
Yeah.
in sign language, and I love that moment because it's like while they're squabbling about like little things like holding on to Arrakis and all that, like these sisters have such a bigger purpose in mind that is much greater than anything these like houses are bothering about right now. And that I think is the intriguing thing about them.
I do agree. However, I also think that I like the idea, and as we said, we did learn about this in the two Dune movies about, the Bene Gesserit's goal of creating, the perfect leader, someone that they can essentially control, so they can essentially control the Imperium. However, I know that already. I think what I'm more intrigued about is a bit more of the why, a little bit more of the
Mm.
why, or understanding a bit more of the why that maybe we're not privy to just yet. And I suppose that's where we lead into how, the actual show will develop. If, there'll be certain things along the way that will change the way that the sisterhood views their goal or why they view their goal a certain way. And obviously, this idea of creating, and they mentioned it in Dune, part one, the idea of creating, this all powerful being, who can see past, present, future, the most powerful minds, what that does for them and what that does, what they believe that's going to do in general. That's what I want to delve into. And I do think we will get there. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed. However, the lore of Dune, it really is nice to be back in that world again, as I said. Even this idea about, the war, between humans and the machines, I thought that was very cool. I'm interested to maybe see a little bit more of that.
Like one thing I really didn't like or that didn't really work for me was the exposition at the beginning. It did taper off after, but like that's too much. It lasted like for maybe 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, but it was still too much, and it just went in and out. So one thing I enjoyed about the Dune films was that Denis Villeneuve managed to like show us this world without having someone explain it. We just saw how everything worked. And here it's just someone explaining it, and it takes me out of the whole show.
You
Like
do get the beautiful Zendaya doing a little opening piece in both of those movies. I definitely remember that voice. That was very nice.
but very sure.
Yeah, it was a bit more of a tease.
Yeah.
Mm,
But here, yeah, it's just for example, like when you get Valya after she made Dorothea kill herself with a voice.
mm.
That was such a powerful moment for me. And like immediately after there's this voiceover. I'm like, oh God, stop it. Because it like immediately yanks you out of the episode and tells you like you're watching a show right now and we're talking to you as the audience now.
Mm.
So yeah, not a fan of that. But they don't continue that.
Was there any other particular points in the show that you wanted to discuss? Things that you did like though?
Like Mark Strong was awesome. I think I really
Oh
enjoyed his performance.
yeah.
It was weird seeing him play such a weak character.
Mm,
The Emperor was so pathetic because Mark Strong is usually like he's the villain guy or like the imposing villain or the mentor guy who's always in control and always has the
mm.
answers. And here he's
Good
like
old Carmine Falcone.
exactly right. And here he doesn't know what to do. Like he's basically whipped. So I enjoyed that performance.
Nothing like
Um,
being whipped in the world of Dune and in the Imperium.
but what are some things you liked or disliked?
Yeah, Desmond. He is the guy that is intriguing me the most right now because I'm intrigued to know where he comes from, what he represents. Like, he's talking quite like it's very cryptic at the moment. Like, I'm trying to understand, you know, if he's now a part of a new faction or if he has his own motives. Because he's presenting at the moment like he might, at least to the Emperor, that he's kind of there almost to help him. But at the same time, I get the impression that there might be something there that could open us up to maybe a new faction or a new um part of Dune lore that we're not familiar with. And I like the idea of him being the secret threat now that the Sisterhood are not aware of. And, that's why we're kind of really getting into the Game of Thrones of it all now, where everyone's kind of at each other's heads, which we love, And so I'm very intrigued. What did you think about the character?
I don't know. Like, this is going into like the ending for me, which is another part where I'm like not sure if I like that. Because like he burns these two people. I don't know if we're allowed to say, but
well, one was a child boy.
Exactly.
Just a child.
Which is very Game of Thrones, I think. But he burns them. I don't know how. Like, how did that happen? Like, did he poison them? Does he have some kind of mind powers? Like, what's happening with this guy?
The spice boy.
But also we get this scene that the Emperor looks at on Arrakis, I guess, with the guy like offering himself to the worm, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm sure it has something to do with the story he was telling about how how his whole team died, and I'm like, I'm confused. But yeah, I'm curious on what they do with him going forward, but right now I'm just more confused than intrigued, I think.
Yeah, I mean, his powers, if they are indeed powers, are interesting to me because once again, as you know, we've seen based off Dune Part 1 and Part 2, and now potentially Desmond, you never know the powers you could inherit after drinking some good old sperm juice coming from a big old worm.
Wow.
So, the worm sperm juice seems to do a lot in the world of Dune. But I'm intrigued. I mean, anything else you'd like to add before we wrap it up?
No.
Well,
I'd
it
like to
feels
remove
like that
some
was.
thoughts out of my head right now.
Well, that's right. I mean, but now just think of Shani. That would be great. But anyway,
They're the thoughts I want. Oh,
so
shit.
obviously on this channel we have a review system where we review our movies and or TV shows on a scale out of 10, but we do ices out of 10. Good old Vic, rest in peace, and Oz will see you down the line. So, Dune Prophecy, episode 1, how many ices will we be giving this out of 10?
It was a difficult start for me, so I think I'm gonna go with 6 out of 10. There's some intriguing stuff, but it's not enough for like, especially for like a 1 hour episode. It feels like the intriguing stuff for like the actual meaty stuff was like 20 minutes of that. So I need a lot more from it. I'm curious. I'm going to stick to it, or want to stick with it. But yeah, for now, it's got a 6 out of 10 in this first one.
Well, listen, I'm going with a 7.5. I actually really enjoyed this episode. I'm very happy to be back in the world of Dune. It's hooked me. It's got my intrigue. That's all I need for now. So you're going with 6 ices out of 10? Yep, exactly. And I'm going with 7.5 ices out of 10. It was 6 ices out of 10 you gave it, wasn't it? Yeah. 6 ices for you, 7.5 ices out of 10 for me. And that will do it of our review of the HBO original Dune Prophecy Episode 1. My name is Cameron, beware of the machines. Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
I'm Phil Spicy Corwin.
Oh, it's been a very spicy review, this one. Indeed it has. We are on our way to Arrakis to find some Fremen and hopefully some spice if it hasn't been taken already. Once again, thank you very much for checking out our review today, guys, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.
Bye.